noticed when I was leaving the Board of Works meeting that there was stuff at everybody's seat. Is that included in the,
Up here?
yeah, is that included in the stuff that you sent me? You have an extra packet.
Yeah, he said he wanted to read it. I can get you a copy of that stuff.
I know, that's right. He was, he was going, he was going to see out of town.
Yeah, it's because
It was the same stuff.
it's the same stuff as,
Had some changes.
revision or revised, so it's mostly the same what we got, but I can get you.
Okay.
Guess I should have had it for you too. You got, cause you emailed him that settlement thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
I couldn't hardly tell that she revised.
Need bigger space. Run out of room.
Oh shoot, I forgot something.
You don't want everybody to stand?
She left.
She left. Oh, yeah, Ray, on High Street, is that where she lives?
She's,
Just
next
income,
to
okay.
it.
Oh,
She's on the corner. He lived.
Okay.
she's gotta be my
He's
age.
been
Yeah,
good to
she's
me.
pretty close to your age.
I don't think so. She called me the night before. She couldn't make it. I said, well,
Someone told
Hey.
me that.
your ears might be burned here.
Find
No doubt.
out the manholes. I said, man, you couldn't pay me. Find out.
All right, please stand for the pledge, remain standing for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings that you have given our community. We pray for those who are hold offices and govern this community, the county, and the federal government. We ask them to make wise decisions and that they always use the best interests, whether it's in our community, county, or country. We are glad that we have the freedom to speak up and vote for those who oppose our set values, even if they differ from those leaders that represent us. Heavenly Father, please bless the men and women in city government, state and federal government, and all elected officials, and certainly those who put themselves in harm's way, like our law enforcement, firefighters, and EMS. In your name we pray. Amen. Jan, could you do a roll call for us, please?
Dan Vinson, Bob Leahy,
Here.
Jim Hufford,
Here.
Tim Heiss,
Here.
Chad Spence.
All right. Trustee had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting. Any changes or corrections? None, I'd entertain a motion.
I will motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first and a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I went and got my information. I came out here with it.
You don't have your agenda on top?
I mixed everything around because I was looking for something. There we go. Just to give you an update regarding what took place in Board of Works. We are just, as of this Friday, we will have roughly about 13 more water meters to install. Getting the trucks ready for winter And just kind of giving everybody a heads up, brush pickup going forward will be as an on-call. Leaf pickup will be following here shortly, as soon as they start falling with this rain, and I'm sure we'll be getting it. And then hydrant flushing will be during October 8th to the 12th. So just to give everybody an update on that. Meetings are still progressing with Midwestern, trying to get this, our design buttoned up so we can present to USDA and IDEM and get that process started as well. Other than that, that's all I have. Jan,
I don't have anything.
council members, Tim,
I don't have anything.
Jim, Bobby,
I don't have anything.
Monty?
The right-of-way acquisitions for North Columbia Street project should be in by next week, so that's a hurdle out of the way, especially with they moved the date up for that project, so that feels a little better. Our regional stellar grant has been applied for, so we will have the memorandum of understanding that we'll need to sign next council meeting for that. But they're working on that right now. And downtown streetscape is ready to go. We're just waiting on a permit from NDOT that was like a new permit this year, so hopefully we'll have that before very long. Looking at taking the trees down up there,
Yeah.
remaining Bradfords, so we'll be ready for that process. That's all I have.
Did we get a quote yet?
32.5, I think,
Is that all?
yeah, for 21.
When will these start on this?
Just as soon as we tell them to.
We've had a lot of complaints about the trees downtown full of birds and crapping on the
Yeah.
sidewalks and whatever else, and we had several people downtown over the weekend for the, so, and if we can get started on that, that'd be great, sooner the better. Okay. Old business chamber updates, there's something from chamber. Ryan, you know, I talked to you earlier about, what is the process that we need to go through to, the property that Aeroclem wants to give the city?
Basically a quick claim deed.
We just submit that to him?
Yeah.
Do we need to, now, he would probably get his own appraisal for tax purposes or whatever else.
I think that would be his responsibility. Yeah.
Can you
Reach out to him?
yeah.
Yeah.
What he was also looking to, he wouldn't have a button up for the end of the year, but he was also getting tired of mowing it,
Yeah.
so.
That's out there on,
28 there,
28, yeah.
catty corner from,
he's on
Russ.
that forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think I sent you the property card on
Yep.
that.
Have it.
so, yeah, he was wanting to take advantage of, before the year ends, so appreciate that. What else do you got for us?
As far as the 310 West Oak Street, I mean, that the documents are ready, I believe.
And that's in his hands, cause we emailed it to him.
Okay.
I think your gal did that.
Yeah.
Did you happen to take a look across the street, see how
It's
it looks?
amazing.
Have you guys seen that?
What's that? Look to see
The old
how-
Ducky's video store, what it looks like?
I mean, I've not been inside.
Well, I mean, just from the outside,
Yeah.
just that,
Yeah,
just that appearance.
Yeah. Probably check it out.
It's a remarkable transformation.
Yeah.
So you're still working on the windows upstairs?
Yeah, they're coming.
Okay. And they're gonna be white, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be white.
What's that?
It needs,
Needs help.
it needs some work.
Yeah, yeah. But just the, looks remarkable.
On the east side of it, to the east side, it's got some issues on the roof, I guess, from what Brad told me.
Anything else, Ryan, that you had?
That's all I have.
Okay, all right.
Who owns the building next door to it?
The purple one is owned by Vic Buffalo. And I've had some discussion with him, trying to figure out what we can do, to help that situation along, and we've come to any sort of a resolution, but boy, that would be
Yeah.
do the same thing, transformation of just new windows and doors, make a big difference.
Especially with copies or
Yeah.
what was formerly copies being, will probably be in the mix too,
Yeah.
is revitalizing.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, because he wants to,
Yeah.
matter of fact, he was over, Joe Davis was doing the installation, Dan was over talking to him, looking at the and doors, that he was putting in at the Duffy's building, so.
Great.
Under old business, we have the ordinance 2018-15 county sign ordinance. It's a second reading. Obviously, I'm not gonna read it. We're on the, any questions or comments? If not, since we're playing nice with Randolph County, I'd entertain a motion to move forward with that.
I'll move we, accept ordinance 2018-15 county side ordinance on second reading by title only.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second
Jamie, take roll call vote.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jim Hufford?
it. Yeah.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Okay. Second item is ordinance 2018-16. It's the budget estimates at second reading as well. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept 2018-16 budget estimate on second reading by title only.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jamie, take roll call vote.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jim Hufford?
Yep.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Okay. During Board of Works, Mr. Desmond presented us some questions and comments regarding a rental inspection for discussion. And basically, what is the criteria for the house inspection? And one of the comments that we're trying to get it buttoned up is basically whatever you can see visually. We will not be trained electricians. We will not be trained in the building codes that are because talking to Bloomington, they're basically saying that there's a lot of self-interpretations by building codes, and they just do visual inspections. But if there's things that are contested or whatever else, then they bring an outside consultant, whether it's an electrician or some sort of engineering firm. So we were looking for like broken windows, ceiling tile and ceiling grid, black marks on the walls for regarding where plug-in receptacles are at, so that's where that was one of the comments that Mr. Desmond brought up. And the training inspection program, basically the training is we're working directly with actually Steve Shoemaker's been through one training program on the fire side, and we're looking to send Georgine and Steve down to work with down in Bloomington. The gentleman's been down there since 1979, so those are the two people that have been designated so far. Then he also asked regarding authorization personnel for outside to conduct inspections. That if you're asking for an outside inspector, he's asking whether a realty license be sufficient enough, a real estate training be sufficient enough, an Ohio professional housing provider certification be sufficient, will an engineer license be sufficient, and what other certifications will be recognized. I think those are the good questions, but I think primarily what we're looking for is we'll be dealing with Indiana code, so I would say probably somebody that would be based in Indiana in regarding whether it's some sort of housing engineer or even someone from the county would be recognized as well. But I don't know if council had any thoughts on those, what they would like to see. But as we move forward, I think that's something that we need to keep in mind of where we want to take that.
Yeah, I think there's some directions to go with that. Keep it both uniform and achievable, or relatively painless for someone to achieve that. That has qualifications, but still, because I think one of the things that it'd have to be is familiarity with what our inspection criteria is going to be.
And it'd be just a checkoff sheet.
Yeah, and maybe a checkoff sheet. If somebody were going to do this on a regular basis, be a review with our inspectors or something, but just so we're uniform. But I don't think shouldn't be.
I think any licensed plumber, it can do anything with plumbing codes, because they would know it because they've been through that. Same way for licensed electrician,
Electrician, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they could be-
But initially, what I think as I was stating, the intent will be is basically what's the living conditions look like. You know, we didn't call it into a property where it was ready for rent and there was no ceiling tile. Well, actually, half the ceiling tile was gone. It was just, no, you know, you could
Yeah.
see so, or black marks coming from a plug-in doesn't mean that it's faulty, but it needs to be inspected, or somebody needs to come in to verify that it is functioning. We've been in other rental properties where they have to run extension cords from room to room, so, you know, an easy, what's it called, to test the plugins,
Tester.
to be able to test them. So those are the kind of things that'd be very simple to check and see if the things are operational, so. We'll keep moving on that, and we'll let you know, John, in regarding the money, we did have one, checkoff sheet, did we not?
Yeah,
Couple. Maybe what we'll do is present that at the next,
Mhm.
council meeting and circulate those around. Under new business, we got rezoning, the, 235 North High Street. This is one that's near and dear to my heart. Since I talked to, Anita Cunningham, she was, trying to be here tonight, but she could not make it. And we're asking Ryan to actually check on whether this can be resolved. Anita had a double, and, she was wanting to reinvest back into the property. She lives in one side, and when she went to go refinance, the problem was, it was zoned R1 and it was duplex, so it needs to be changed to R2. Well, in doing so, she's owned the property since 1979, and the agency that was doing the appraisal, once they realized it was a double and it was not zoned properly, they stopped the whole process. So she's now invested over $300 of sending out registered mail and also paying for advertisement in our local paper for this. And if you look at what the county requires you, it is approximately about 11 different steps that you have to do that she has to do to get this resolved.
They're requiring a variance?
She has to get it rezoned.
They're not doing a variance on this anymore.
Here's, did you get the packet?
Yeah.
There was some stuff left out in the packet, but it just goes through all of the stuff from the petition that you had to do.
And it is, now the reason why I say it's near and dear to my heart is because I purchased, a property out here at the edge of town, and we wanted to start work and do some work. So I got a couple doubles that I was gonna refinance to take the money out and apply for this, to start developing the, you know, getting ready for build a house out there. And, they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know, you have to go through this process of, getting the legal description, sending out public notices for the hearing. You gotta send site drawings, the plan of operation, the various forms that the county has out there. Then they'll give you a submittal date so that you can apply, then they'll set a hearing date. Then the public notices go out, and then you have the deadline for the public notices, and then you have the proof of the public notices, and then you finally have the hearing, which is step 11. Now again, this lady's owned the property since 1979. The one property of mine that's in question is, I've owned it for not as long, but at least 25 years. So I had some discussion with, Mr. Abel, and that didn't go anywhere. So then I talked to, Jason Welch and explained to him in some uncomplimentary discussion of words that I won't use tonight. And I think he finally got the point. He goes, it should not stop the whole process, but I think, Ryan, if we can adopt the language where R1 includes no more than, if we can set the definition, it says no more than a two-family dwelling, because the property next to me, that the one I'm looking at to utilize, was built as a double. And the other property was probably converted, if it wasn't built as a double, was converted back in the sixties or late seventies.
But they're all currently R1.
They are all currently listed as R1. Now, I've had multiple different mortgages on them over the years. So why wouldn't, if there was an issue years ago, why wouldn't the title company have picked up on it? So what is it now that's causing all this? And so Anita told me just before I walked in there, she said the county told her that there's multiple issues in Union City with this, and they don't know how they're gonna get it rectified. They're gonna have to, everyone's gonna have to do this one at a time. So,
Heck of it, I got one too.
That's,
Yeah, I brought this up, you know, when,
It's clearly a commercial building. It looks like a commercial building. And no, it can't be a commercial building. It's been vacant for 6 months. Really? Who can turn a commercial building in less than 6 months? Really? That's unreasonable.
so Ryan, I guess if we can ask that question, if we could, and if we could set the, you know, basically, Union City adopts R1, it means no more than a double.
Point of information.
You have to state your name and your
Andy
address.
Conklin, 523.5 West Oak Street. Just a point of information on mortgages, you can do a mortgage on a 1 to 4 unit residential property, your mortgage is full. So I wouldn't want to limit it to 2.
No,
I would go.
well, the R1, and where we're talking about, that is a reason why it's R1. It is all residential. These are all, except for the double next to me, and the one that Ron Holt has on Hickory Street, and the one on Larry Day has on Hickory and Howard, they were built as doubles.
Correct. My point is, you can have 4 units in one property and live in one, and it's seen as a residential property.
right, that's what I was saying a little while ago, that since it is a separate units, not a house that was converted over to a double, but it's built as a double, you can sell one side or the other. You can have 2 different land, you know, 2 different people own that property.
Well,
So
that's
why-
like what you see even in the commercial, like for
Yeah.
instance, the stable lot. I mean, that's, you know, realistically, that's one building,
Right,
but it's all owned by different.
yeah.
right. Just
So-
because you own both sides should not make any difference, because you can sell off either side.
So Jason's working on a letter for Randy Abel, but I'm wondering if you can talk to Jason and say, what if we adopt the terminology that R1 represents a two-family dwelling or whatever. My blood pressure's still a little high since this all started. So,
Well, just to that same point, since the snag up until now, there hasn't been a problem, right? And it's just recently that presumably banking regulations have somehow screwed the pot up.
it's the appraisals. It's the appraisal companies. Her appraisal company's out of Indianapolis. Mine's out of Randolph County.
Okay.
So the bank said they didn't have a problem, but they can't do it because they're obligated. They cannot say anything to the appraisal company. They cannot have this conversation.
But
I
my
brought
point
this-
is, the all-inclusive 1 to 4 would cover a number of different situations. So I would like to underscore his point there, as opposed to limiting it to 2.
We could put some sort of exclusion in there or whatever else, or what's that?
Why have R1 at all?
You just saying it's residential.
Yeah,
The only other one that I know that would be more than, well, yours, there on the, you still have the one on the corner over here?
No.
Cause that one has 4,
That one has 4.
so But then, Larry Day's over here, there's 3 or 4 on that one next to the restaurant.
I'm trying to remember when I looked at the map, how that was still in our run. I don't remember that.
Can we change the map? Because they did before, years ago. The city changed the map.
Here's what they say we'll have to do. We'll have to send out, go these 11 steps, and then where it gets costly, it's $7.50 to send us registered mail to anyone that lives 250 feet from that property. They're blaming us for it, but then they institute all the stuff that we have to do. So I'm glad this is on TV.
I'm gonna suggest to save a couple of bucks if you really wanted to do it. Service in the state of Indiana also includes personal service, right? And affixed to the structure in question, so it wouldn't be a big deal.
Well, but I think that's a step that the both parties in Randolph County, you have the area planning commission who holds the hearing, then it has to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Both of those boards are only advisory only. It all falls down right here to this elected board here.
Did they say why they're not doing, they're not granting variances for those?
They are granting them, but you have to go through this whole process.
Oh, okay.
I've owned these properties for 25 years. Why should I have to go ahead and do this
Well,
now?
Yeah, they'll pass.
Well, but this lady was changing
But that's what I'm gonna have to do to mine.
Yeah.
They want me to change mine.
Me too.
They're not, and they've done this, see, we ran into this back when we did the, Mark's Appliances, that they wouldn't allow a variance anymore for use, you had to change the zoning.
You have to change it.
And so
And-
then it becomes permanent at that point, whereas a variance held to the owner, to the
Right.
use.
That's why I brought this up about a year ago when this all came to light over there, when the state came in and went through the thing and said, all these units and all and everything, that if they go to be sold, that they would have to get changed over because they are in the wrong area.
With,
You know, that's
like,
not
when you were,
right
that was
now.
with the
zone.
M1 with the.
Right,
the,
and,
everybody coming.
so, yeah, and at that time I told it, it's gonna come back and bite a lot of people because when they go to sell their properties, just like the ones down here in one, when they go to sell those things, they can't sell.
Well, at least we won't have this problem with signs, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, wait. Just be careful about flags.
So can you get with Jason and see if we can get that worked out?
Right.
If you wanna get me on the phone at the same time.
Had the cook that night.
I'd first have to apologize to him for some of the language I used. He said something about, well, Randy said this morning, he says, well, the wheels of government doesn't move too swiftly. And I said, well, the wheels of government shouldn't be even involved in this one. So, I mean, this is stuff that's, I don't know, fired me up. All right, so, any questions or comments regarding rezoning 235 North High Street? If not, I would enter a motion.
Can I stop you for a second?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
In your packets, the ordinance that you need
Oh.
to pass this, it was
Yeah.
not in your
VPC
packet, so that's why you have the
2018,
stuff
15
next to
to
you.
Yeah.
There should be an ordinance in there, and you can hand this to me if you want. I don't know if somebody needs to read it.
I'll read it.
APC,
You got it.
2018,
Yeah.
15, C.
Okay.
What's the ordinance number?
2018.
And then I imagine you have to suspend the rules and do it.
Yeah.
again, because
Thank you for pointing that out. This is an ordinance to amend the zoning map of Union City and the County of Randolph County, State of Indiana, whereas Anita Cunningham in Union City, Indiana has hereto filled a petition with the Area Planning Commission of Randolph County, Indiana, requesting an amendment to the zoning map of Union City, Indiana, whereas the Area Planning of Randolph County, Indiana, held pursuant to notice of public hearing on said petition as provided by law, and whereas the Common Council of Union City, Indiana, has received the Area Planning Commission report as a favorable recommendation of said petition to amend zoning map. Now, therefore, be ordained by the Common Council of Union City, Indiana, and the zoning map of APC to 2018-15ZB, and the same be hereby amended as follows. The following described as real estate located in Union City, Indiana, which is now zoned R1, residential medium density, they're here to be rezoned R2 residential high density, so that's the problem. We need, that's the definition we need to change. Legal description is attached here to and marked as Exhibit A. Section 2, the ordinance shall be full force and effect on the Common Council of Union City, Indiana, passed by and adopted by the Council of Union City, Indiana on such a day, 2018. So we killed a tree to get it rezoned.
Yep.
So I would entertain a motion for ordinance number 2018-18.
I'll make a motion, we accept ordinance APC 2018-Z.
That's 2018-18.
Yeah, 2018-18-15Z.
No, that's the county's.
That's the county.
That's county,
That's-
okay. What's
That's the
ours?
county's.
2018-18
Okay, 2018-18 then.
and to
By title only? And
suspend the rules.
suspend the rules?
Only if you
Well,
want
numbers.
to.
yes.
I'll second his motion.
We have a first, we have a second, we have a second. Jamie, take roll call vote.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jim Hufford?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll make a
Now-
motion, we suspend the rules.
ordinance number 2018-18. All right,
I'll second that.
we have a first and a second to suspend the rules. Jan, would you take a roll call vote?
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jim Hufford?
Yeah.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
All right, ordinance number 2018-18, an ordinance to amend the zoning map in the city of Union City and Randolph County, state of Indiana for Anita Cunningham.
I'll move we accept ordinance 2018-18 by title only, on second reading.
We have, we have,
I'll second.
we have a first and a second. Jan, would you take roll call vote?
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jim Hufford?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Wow. Got that done. So not only was the time that Anita had in this, but over $300 of wasted, useless money spent on something like this. Anyway. Next item is ordinance number 2018-17, salary ordinance for the first reading. Jan, I'll turn that over to you.
Okay, in your package, you should have had the salary ordinance, and there would have been like, should be 2 columns, 2018, 2019, so you can see the changes. Some changed, some didn't, and we just bumped up the higher end by 1% on some of them, and some of them didn't change at all. Then a couple other things, we added an ordinance officer and an animal control officer under the police department, and the proposal is just to pay them so much a year. So another employee, if they decide they wanna do that, then they get, I think it's
Uh,
4,000
I
something.
noticed, well, the ordinance officer is on a part-time basis. It's just $4,000. Then I thought we was having a full-time one coming in after he goes through his training.
Now, what it is an existing personnel that's added to their pay. So take Dennis Schweigert as an
Yeah, I
example.
thought we had that one from Richmond coming here to be the ordinance officer.
No, that person, that's a,
That's a school
School.
resource
Okay,
officer,
that's
that's
school,
different.
yeah.
That's different, and he will be paid as the normal, what do you call
Yeah,
it?
isn't part of that paid by the government when
Yeah.
you get, yeah, okay.
So any questions regarding, any other questions regarding salary ordinance? So the 2 positions that you have code enforcement and then you also have animal control, those 2 have their own separate part-time pay, which is worked into their full-time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, how that worked.
Yes.
I noticed there was a line item in there for what appears to be an incentive or reward program.
Yeah, we have that.
How extensive is that? How many thousands of dollars are typically on the table? Is it awarded?
If say if Kobe Wells came to me and said, you know, so-and-so has done a great job in their efforts, they go above and beyond the call of duty, not only once, but throughout the course of the year, and then he gives me multiple examples of the reason why somebody should be, we can pay them up to $2,000 for merit pay. The merit board is myself, Monty, and Jan, and the supervisor making the recommendation.
I I see. How much is, do you have a budget for that?
No, it has to be within the constraints of their current budget.
Oh, it's within their,
Yeah, it's
their
within
current
their-
budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So if somebody came to me and said, I wanna give, Kobe says, I wanna give all officers $2,000, do you have the $2,000 times X?
got it.
Yeah.
So,
He's gotta have the money in his
Yeah.
budget, so it's not a budget buster.
I would also just make one recommendation regarding the telecommunications stipend. Any more with the price of cell phones and so on have gone down, including data plans that are as cheap as $25 per line. You're giving $75 away, it seems, and I'm not opposing it this time around, but for the people that are watching, they know that family plans and stuff bring the average cost of a line down to $25. And so in essence, you are giving an extra $50 per month,
you're also assisting in paying for the purchase price of the phone as well.
which can be really low now. I
Well,
mean, you can be getting
Not
$10.
for the smartphones, I
You
mean.
really can.
yeah,
really
but
can.
the devices that, with, our guys are really dependent on quality devices anymore with some of the things they're doing. Not every, you know, so,
I
but,
would just ask you for your
So-
consideration in
yeah,
the future.
okay, sure.
Any other questions or comments regarding the salary ordinance? Just first reading,
Yes, for sure.
So,
I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move we accept ordinance 2018-17 salary ordinance on first reading by title only.
I'll second.
Jamie, take roll call vote?
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jim Hufford?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
All right. Next item is settlement agreement for 115 North Columbia Street, another one that's near and dear to my heart.
And that also has changed from what was in your packet, so that's why that's sitting on your desk, full copy.
Yeah, there was some language change within the body of it. This is for the lot over here where the bank came in and tore their building down and kind of screwed up our building. We've been going back and forth, actually listening to them for the last 2 years, Monty. And just to get it resolved, they came back with this and it's I'll withhold my comments, but
Ryan reviewed that. Don't see any problem with it.
Can I ask a question on that?
yes.
Bob Hampton. Will that $27,000 that they're giving the city pay for demolishing the building that was damaged?
What we're looking at is actually putting the money back into that building. We have someone that's interested in it.
That can be fixed for that money?
Well, it can be salvaged for that.
Salvage.
It's basically buttoning up the roof and addressing the wall itself.
Okay.
Good question, Bob. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I've got a comment, maybe not come back and every half. I think that's a very low number.
So noted. Any other questions or comments? No motion? I don't care. I mean, I'm serious.
You need a motion to accept
Mm-hmm.
the agreement. I'll make the motion to accept the agreement so presented.
We have a first, do we have a second?
One second.
James, take roll call vote.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jim Hufford?
Yeah.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Next item is Midwest TV. And I believe, help me with this, Jan. You gave-
There's not anything in your packet.
Okay,
Next to you on the,
okay.
I think I printed out one page, and that's because, well, you know more about what happened with everything, but this
Well,
was this is the narrative that they used when they applied for the 501c3. And so it says that this is supposed to be for the purpose of operating a true public education government station. And so then, anyway, Linda was saying that now that we wouldn't be
That's true.
operating as that, or Midwest TV would not be operating as that. So
Let me just kind of read some of this to you for the public. In the late, actually it was in early 70s, Time Warner issued a public access channel to franchise the city of Union City. We've been unable to find any documents exact date, but the interviews of people involved indicate the franchise was available for over 50 years. The city decided to have the local Union City Indian High School operate the franchise as an educational tool. The school, through its educational activities, did broadcast some government activities, specifically town council meetings for both Union City, Indiana, and Ohio. They did not do this on a regular basis, on a continued basis, nor were there any significant public activities provided, running a few ads and announcements over the years. The state funding dwindled, and because of the lack of qualified media person to lead the program, the station KISS TV became less and less relevant until 2016. The school effectively dropped the program. In the view of the situation outlined for several local citizens and local government officials, decided to form a nonprofit for the purpose of operating a true PEG, which is Public Education Government Station. We have debated whether, so that in itself is basically saying that now with what Randolph County has done, I don't know if you've all read the packet of information that I included for what Randolph County is going to do. Is they're going to, instead of the initial request was made by Midwest TV to Randolph County to fund and support the station for downtown, and they reversed their initial decision and then voted to give it directly to the school. So what is being discussed now is, since it is no longer a PEG, public education government station, where the money is going to the school, do we want to even continue on trying to arrange for Midwest TV? Now with Chad not here tonight, you know, I think he would be very actively involved in this conversation. I've had some discussion with him, but I think it's something by probably the next council meeting we're going to have to decide what do we want to do. And we've dedicated or actually pledged so much funding per year for a certain amount of years, but right now, I think it's questionable about where is Midwest TV and what it's going to be. So, Brian, actually, I've deferred to you if you want to make any comments to this.
I think we'd still operate it as a PEG. I mean, it's unfortunate that REDC, to me, as far as I'm concerned, any money's going into the KISS programs for Midwest, for the kids to operate the equipment. It keeps, something like this, I'm concerned, Mayor, because it keeps a separation of who owns what, again. That's what we came into. We got a meeting on October 3rd when Chad can be there and everything, and our board will discuss all that, but I don't see why we can't continue to be a PEG. I'll look into it some more. Obviously a nice thing for the KISS program, but I see relevance in a studio downtown for the versatility. I had no conversation when this monies was being sought after or end result, and I have not talked to David Lincolnstoff or anybody at the REDC about this except for Greg Weimer last Friday. I understand, you know, he wants to do a lot for the education, make the KISS program a vocational program, which is great, but I need to talk to some more people there. I don't see why this can't continue to be a public educational and governmental entity. Well, I certainly would like to continue to operate it that way.
I think the status of the board right now is in question or in jeopardy of having a full board now. So that's another thing that's going to have to be addressed in that
We'll
meeting.
be okay.
Yeah. Council members, any other questions, comments?
No, I just want to continue this
Yes.
conversation. Keep
My question is, who requested the money for the school, or whose idea was it to give it to the school, or?
Well, no,
Initiative.
Bob and Linda made the initial presentation to,
Right, yeah, I knew that, but then how did it end up just being,
There.
well,
this was
there, there was an email circulated by Mr. Dave Linkenstoffer and made specific claims which I would have to say were not, what did I say?
Not accurate.
Not, okay, not accurate.
Especially in certain quotes of certain
You
people.
have a copy of that, Bob?
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
It's emailed out. so
Gotta
you
read
may
your
have-
emails every now
Oh, I
and then.
do, but I didn't see that. I
Okay,
saw,
well,
I never
it's,
got it.
yeah, well, make sure you get it, cause it's,
it's probably
No,
just.
it only went to board members.
Yeah.
What was the title, Bob? I could read some of it to everybody. I think everybody would find it entertaining. Did you send it out or Linda? Because,
We requested it under a FOIA, and they finally, furnished it after they made their decision. And I attached it to an email that went to all the board members.
and I just think it's something that for this discussion, I can read this off my phone. On Wednesday, July 18th, this is from Dave Linkenstoffer, Midwest TV, Bob Gentry and Lynn Wilcox came to an incentive committee requesting $85,000 for equipment and renovation of a downtown building owned by the Union City for a television studio. In doing my due diligence on the request, I have come up with the following. The City of Union City agreed to put $40,000 a year for 3 years. Part of the funds will be coming from their franchise fee from Spectrum. The balance, not specified, leaving a question, where will these funds come from? I was led to believe that night that the station manager, Brian Merrill, was a certified teacher with the state of Indiana. He is not. He does, however, hold a certification that allows him to be the instructor and cover the KISS TV program. This is not a big deal breaker for me.
That's what Rick Clear had.
In reviewing with one of the school board members, they were not aware of them coming to our meeting to discuss the funding. Midwest TV has been to school board meetings expressing their desire to the program. Out of this writing, there is no formal agreement between Randolph Eastern School Corporation, Midwest TV. Also in discussing with the school board member, they are not in favor of signing an agreement due to the logistics, liability, and Brian Merrill being a full-time employee with Randolph Eastern School Corporation. The school board member also checked, again, there's no name for the school board member.
Right.
The 3 out of the 4 members of the school board say they also agreed in the best interest for our Randolph Eastern School Corporation to have a program on school premises due to the same previous concerns. The 5th member of the school board at this writing has not been contacted. I have checked with Aaron Black, the principal of Randolph, or UCJSH, why in the hell they ever changed that. He said that he guaranteed that if they received the money, that the entire amount would be towards the kids. I have contacted John Schmidt, former developer of the developing administrator of KISS TV. He is out of town. I've been asking him how KISS, I don't know why you put that in there, you never talked to him. But he has, so this is where he has contacted Dan Vincent, Union City Councilman, who is not here tonight, about his concerns about the ongoing expenses and the old building that the Union City would have year after year. He is in favor of the program, but would like to see the money, would like it to be at Union City School Corporation. Also another council member, Tim Ice, sitting next to my right, has shared an opinion, and he would like to see it at Union City. I have contacted Chad Spence, and at this time, I'm not being able to communicate with him at all. And it just goes on the same old stuff. And said my recommendation basically is for $75,000 for the equipment to go to Union City School Corporation, at which the school has not made a request to Randolph County Economic Development for this money. So I just wanted to add a little flavor for this conversation for tonight.
Thank you.
I'm getting pretty good at reading.
I wasn't contacted with you then.
Huh?
Were you contacted by Dave Winchester?
No, no. As a matter of fact, I've ran into a couple of them in person, he never said anything to me.
So did I understand it correctly that $85,000 was requested by Midwest TV
TV.
board people to Randolph County Economic Development
Mhm.
people. They reoriented that money and popped it over, or intending to pop it over to the Randolph County School Corporation.
Correct.
So
Union City.
Union City specifically. Where I kind of got lost was what Tim was recommending and whomever regarding a downtown presence. Is that something that?
Chad Spence.
Chad is for a
Mhm.
downtown presence?
Yeah.
And is that what you're thinking that was building
Part of that building would have been used
right
for that.
over here?
Mhm.
Okay. Am
I
I
was at-
missing anything?
No, other than that, I'm not sure exactly how he interpreted the secondhand information he got about a conversation I had with someone where I was asked a completely unrelated question, and he basically extrapolated that what was said there, complete misrepresentation of what I said,
My,
to a third party,
yeah.
that was before any of this had any real, had any of this had happened.
My take on this originally, when I supported this endeavor of what I understood to be a quasi-governmental, private enterprise, initiative, is that it was going to have a commercial component that you really may not be able to exploit within the confines of Randolph County School District stuff. The only objection that I have is that of transparency. I think everything ought to be on the table. Here's the budget, this is our expectation, these are our goals. Hey, we met them. No, we didn't meet them. How come? What's up? Who's responsible? You're fired. Not fired. You're promoted. Give them an incentive. But put it out on the table so everybody knows what everybody's getting out of the deal and know what the costs are. So where does it stand? I mean, that was nice that you explained all that, but what's happening? Is somebody
We're not,
putting
we're
a
not,
check in?
this is just discussion, we're not acting on anything tonight.
Okay, so is it in the school board's ballpark to then make a recommendation and then apparently they'd get funding?
I can't answer for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't answer for what Randolph County's thinking, or, and there's Midwest TV's got a meeting coming up, you said,
October 3rd.
so. Okay.
I've got a question. Can anybody shed some light on what the governmental building over here would be used for?
There was designs and everything submitted to Randolph County, for that. Including a studio and everything that would be going into, and just for the front portion of that building. So we'll keep this, Jan, on the agenda for next meeting.
Okay.
And actually, there'd be, Midwest TV would have their meeting as well, so.
Would you like me to present there next month?
Yeah, that'd be good. Next item on the agenda is discussion on proposed ordinances for junk vehicles, grass and leaves and gutters, and the keeping of chickens. John, Monty, you wanna touch base on those and kinda explain kind of where we're at?
Well, there's three ordinances that were proposed by code enforcement. The one to do with the placing of grass in the gutters because it causes so much difficulty with the storm sewer.
So when people mow their yard, they're blowing
Blowing the grass into the street,
Yeah.
washes down the catch basins, and deteriorates in air, creates phosphorus, which pollutes the water in the creeks and the outfalls. There's an area in there where the city could say that, we're picking up leaves in between this date and this date, and put leaves in the gutter. Or brush, make an exception for brush to put out there, but that's the main impetus of that is to do something about, the amount of vegetable matter that's going into the storm drains that we have to then suck out, or it's causing some pretty serious problems with stream pollution too.
What about the junk vehicles?
That was one that just kind of cleans up.
Are the descriptions?
Yeah, and allows code enforcement to have some more leeway on it, and
Probably
Because-
expedite it.
Yeah, and it takes out that
The
somebody had an
ambiguity.
inoperable vehicle and never to put a plate on it, well, it's still an inoperable vehicle.
Yeah.
Or, you know, so those kinds of things, so yeah, that'd be something that, you know, to look over and see if that's what we wanna do. And then he has basically don't really have an ordinance that addresses the chicken issues. That one not only addressed chickens, but it's fowl in general.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't disallow them, but it does, you know, put some parameters about
Okay. We
how
can
many
have
you
those.
can have and no roosters and whatever.
Could you check with Randy over there, see if there's county orders?
They're not gonna do one. I talked to him about it,
Okay.
cause I thought that they'd passed one, but
That would make too much
They
sense.
do have a thing about cities, so, because we had to change that, so kids with 4-H could actually have up to one chicken or one rat.
Oh, for,
It
yeah.
says I'd say limits.
for, yeah, property size,
Right.
yeah. But anyway, we'll have those for everybody to look over.
Next meeting.
Well, I did pass out they're in the packets
Throw them
now.
in the-
I think they, you know,
Yeah, just-
everybody can read over those.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if you wanna have,
I kinda got lost in all not the signs.
it should be almost the very last thing.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
chickens, but no signs.
very last thing in your packet.
I'm just kidding.
But you can't have no roosters.
No roosters.
No roosters.
So, and I think it'd be good, for, Chad to be here as well, and
Yeah.
also, Dan, if you're out there, to attend as well. Any other questions, comments regarding those three ordinances? We'll have those.
Comment on the leaves and so on, it's just a little bit confusing, because I didn't see any exceptions for the fall or during the weeks of this period of time, that period. We encourage you to put the leaves out there, which I presume you do, because you're, getting the leaf, sucking machines, all ready and so on, so having parameters as to exactly when this collection's gonna be done, maybe putting it on the back of the water bill and otherwise informing
Mhm.
people, because I'm sure you don't want people to bag it up and then all of a sudden, you know, put it with the Rumpke tins and then they're gonna be all upset about putting, organic material in with the garbage, so it just needs to, think a little bit more clarification.
Any visitors wishing to address the board? Anyone?
Eric Hanna from the Union Steel Ohio Side Water Department, and I had heard on the last meeting that you guys had looked at your water purchase agreement for Union City, Ohio. I was just looking for some clarifications on there. We've done this contract for 10 years, and we've never had an increase. And now we're looking at a 2% increase at a minimum every year, a maximum of 5%. I'm kind of curious as to why or where this has come from.
Well, our costs have gone up, and so for 10 years, I mean, that's pretty marginal. I mean, if you're looking at it, you have no increase over 10 years.
Right.
There was an increase over the 10
Okay.
years though, because there was at least 1 year since I've been clerk,
Yeah.
that
okay.
there was what did they call it, the
Cost
cost of living increase.
yeah.
And so what's
Yeah.
changed in your contract there is just that if there is no cost of living increase, then there will be an increase of 2%. So there's a
If
minimum.
there's no cost of living increase, there will be an increase.
That's correct, because even though there's no, we still have expenses and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I think that was the,
Yeah, the national average cost of living is taken from each
It
coast.
went up 2% this year for Social Security, which is the way it's noted in here.
Mm-hmm. So we
Okay, Social Security has a raise. 0.3% was the last time in 2016 that Social Security went up. So why are we looking at a 2% every year from here on out is my question. Where did that come from?
I think that's just been our general
Cost
discussion.
of living,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily raise Social Security's
And
stipend to people, but
I
the
mean,
cost
our,
of living.
right
our
here
gas,
is
okay,
specifically
gasoline
staged.
cost right now is it almost $3 a gallon.
Okay, but this
And a
specifically
year
states
ago,
Social
and a year
Security
ago was
Administration.
approximately $2 a gallon. So, I mean, cost, we've looked at all of our costs, and actually, we even discussed this with Umball. Umball is our outside accounting firm that
Mhm.
directs us in what we do.
Okay, now is this gonna be all the way across the board? Is Cardinal Ethanol gonna be charged us 2%? Are your citizens in Union City, Indiana gonna be charged us 2%? Or is this just strictly for
I don't know if
Union
you looked
City?
at our water and sewage bills.
I don't know this
We've
side of
addressed,
town
we've
there.
addressed our water and sewage bills. We've had actually a pretty dramatic increase. In regards to the relationship that we have with you all, I mean, we're just submitting it out there. I mean, if you don't want it, I mean, that's fine.
Well, I'm just trying to get clarification as to, because I know this agreement's coming up, and I'm just trying to get clarification
Yeah.
from what the reasoning is behind, you know, a raise all of a sudden is, I guess. And just trying to get some answers that way.
Anybody, I mean, it's,
Well, we've had, I can't quote the percentage of increase on our customers. Have been, you know, we've had how many increases? 3 increases in the last, within that 10-year period, and fairly significant increase last year.
Mhm.
And our, of course, wastewater, which is unrelated, we've had increase on, but our water increased also. So we've actually had increases on our customers when we haven't increased UCO. So probably we've just basically, the initial contract, we didn't build in any kind of increase schedule that we probably could have at the time. And I think at the time, we kind of had the intention that we didn't want to burden UCO with a continual cost increase, trying to let the situation even out. But the overall dollar amount per month is not a significant amount. But I understand your concern over cost increase, but like I say, our costs increase. We're continually investing in our water plants and upgrading and updating, and that's
So basically, that money there is used to upgrade your guys' stuff here, which is why.
that's how we supply you the water.
Yeah.
That's how we supply you
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. And I don't know, money,
That increase won't touch
no.
Well, no.
what we spend
No.
on the.
Give it roughly, how much have we spent in the last couple of years regarding plant upgrades and just like the wellhead that we
Hundreds
just,
of thousands of
Yeah.
dollars.
I mean,
And, you know, just the one well 21 fix we did, there was $11,000.
And we have how many more?
we're not
to do?
done.
Yeah, and that's the second one we've done, so there, you know, it's just, it's costly to do that, and I mean,
I can tell you my water bill's going up considerably.
yeah, I think there's no,
Huh?
this is
30%.
Yeah.
not nearly kept pace with what
Yeah.
our customers.
We're at fault for not increasing it over the last couple of years. I mean, that's,
Well, we increased it when the cost of living,
yeah,
when
It
they
was
did
because-
that, but that's the only way we could though, according to that contract.
according to the contract, yeah.
Right.
But, the multiple, plant upgrades, and I'm just speculating over the last 10 years since the contract's been in existence. I would say we're pushing probably, almost $500,000 in plant upgrades.
But what I'm looking at is your water usage for the ethanol and your water usage from your side of town compared to what our 100,000 gallons a day is over there. You're using 10 times that amount over here for,
The water, Jan, what is the, contract rate
I can't remember off the top of my head,
it's
do you have the contract?
120,000 a day.
at the dollar amount of what?
It's 15,500 and some, I don't remember. Per month.
It's $55.30 a month.
So roughly a little over $5,000.
Oh, but
I mean, you know, so it's $60,000 a year, and as Monty was explaining, the hundreds of thousands of dollars we've invested in the infrastructure to be able to provide that to you.
So one water line coming over there?
Excuse,
That's a
how
lot.
about 2 water plants? That's what,
That was an agreement a long time ago. Is it-
you want to know reason why you're seeing increases, and we're saying the money that we've invested in a plant facility to supply water to you.
But I'm saying our 100,000 gallons isn't your guys' biggest concern. You guys have an ethanol plant that is pulling 10 times that amount a day.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
you built your infrastructure up for, not for the little 100,000 gallons that's coming over there.
We spread it all across equally.
It's for everybody,
When I asked
for our
that a minute
case.
ago, You said no, it wasn't the case, it was just for the Union City is what I
No,
asked earlier.
but they've also had a significant rate increase, cause they don't get any special rates. So
No.
they're increased, they've paid more, they've had more increase than UCO's had. And so, you know, basically, throw the number out, you're looking at $110 a month, 1,300, well, 100, just over that, a little over $1,300 a year is 2% of the increase. Now, not that that's not significant, but we have had, you know, we have significant costs, and that doesn't change.
Okay, I
So
guess that's
does-
just, as a cost of living is what you're trying to say, is
Yeah.
what this is proposed as. So cost of living, you would think would be all the way across the board, not for one specific person's.
And I don't wanna be, I'm not
ability.
wanting to be argumentative at all.
I'm just,
But do you feel that UCO should not be considering increasing your rate as time goes on? Because you have the same situation, you still have an underground
Yes, sir.
infrastructure to maintain. Your costs don't stay fixed either, so if you have a rate increase based on your costs, this is part of your cost.
and I'm
But
not
if you don't
disputing
have a
the
rate
fact,
increase, then you may need to look at a rate increase.
and I'm not disputing the fact of the rate increase. What is kind of upsetting is it's gonna be a yearly minimum of 2%. That's what's kind of in question now. I mean, if it was a 2% next year or something to help for stuff this year or last year or whatever, I understand that. But now we're going for 10 years, now we're going to look at a 2% increase for the next however many years that we have water. That is a big change.
Okay.
So I mean, you're looking at 5%, this is a 5-year contract, 2% every year would be 10% within 5 years. And that's just the rate from over here, not counting what we'd have to do to over there on that side. And you know, I'll just, you know,
Well, that's, I guess the part of the way to put that is that's what we proposed, and they have the option to propose.
and is there a time
Otherwise.
frame, for, I mean, how would your council or your officials, how would they want that information? Would they want a typed letter from our mayor?
I
from our-
believe it says in the contract in regarding what the contract time is.
It was
Yeah,
90
but
days.
I don't think there's a time limit for that.
Well, I mean, for us, we had a time limit to when we had to submit
Right.
the proposed contract, so.
Well, this was signed on Sunday, so on September 9th is when you sent this over.
Okay.
So do we have 90 days from that time?
I don't have the contract in front of me, so I really can't answer that, so I mean, I have to,
I've got it right here.
that's very nice that you have it right there, but I'd like to be prepared to discuss
I'm
things
just
like this.
I mean, I would think it'd be a question you can answer. I mean, how long do I have to?
Ryan, do you remember what it said in the contract?
I mean, I don't know if it's, did it say 90 days?
We had to
I
submit it
think
90
we-
days prior to,
To the
To
agreement.
the end of the.
yeah, to the end of
Current
the,
agreement.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
And it
think
was
there's,
right around
I don't think
November,
there's,
didn't it?
I don't think there was where it said they had a certain amount of time to reply back, I don't think.
Right. But I would think that it would be.
I would, actually, what I would suggest, if you have a question regarding that contract and the definition behind that contract, and anything concerning that contract, I would suggest that you contact your legal, source for your community.
Yeah,
That's what we do. He's sitting right here.
I can see that. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else? Not entertain a motion.
Nick, hold on
Nope.
1 second.
Yes?
Orange Town Desmond, 1267 Blue Road, Union City, Ohio. It seems just by the nature of a lot of the discussion that happened tonight, which is unusual, this is not a normal council meeting. There's been some controversy and so on. Whether it's the KISS TV and the dynamics of the sign legislation, or whether it's Union City versus Union City and water distribution. I think a lot of this could be diffused, pardon me for the train. I think a lot of this could be diffused if we had a little bit more transparency, whether that's mayor calling mayor and saying, listen, we got this situation that we're considering. It would seem to me before the council even voted on a rate increase, somebody probably should have called Union City and said, hey, listen, this is what we're thinking about. We got the extra costs and so on. We're not trying to be hard about any of this reality is we've got extra costs. So what I'm suggesting, and that also includes the distribution of information too prior to the meetings, that we can have more transparency, we could probably all play better in the sandbox. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move we adjourn.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.